What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cycle Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Boudreau, and I have a special episode for you today. I talked to a young lady from Seattle who's originally from India. We will get into that in the podcast. She has a very serious case of endometriosis, stage 4, and she has been through a lot in the past few years, but she is one of the most positive, inspirational women I've ever spoken to, considering all that she has been through. I hope this episode brings you value, and just know if you just were diagnosed or you're not sure you have endometriosis, we get into some pretty serious topics here. Just know that this is a different journey for everybody, and she has a serious case, stage 4 of endometriosis. So there are different variations of the disease. I don't want this to frighten you, but we do get into deep conversation about bowel, bladder, and hysterectomy. Thank you again so much for listening and all of your support and kind words about the podcast. I appreciate you. I know some people have asked for a personal update from me. I will add that to the end of this episode. Thank you again for listening. I hope this helps and brings you value. I hope you're feeling well. Thanks for listening. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Cycle Podcast. I'm very excited to present you today one of our guests, and she is from Seattle, Washington. And we met via Instagram and started chatting email. She told me a little bit about her story. And she has a very beautiful name, Upsana. Did I say it correctly?
Upasana, but almost there.
Close enough. And it's very beautiful, and we're really excited to have you on. Thank you so much for willing to be on and being so brave to share your story with us today.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's great that we are talking about this.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background? It doesn't have to be endometriosis related. Let's just get to know you a little bit.
Okay, perfect. So, as we were talking, my name is Upasana. I was born and raised in India. Most of my life, I grew up in Mumbai, and some part of it I spent in Kolkata. Those are like the major cities in India. Then I got married, and then I was in Hyderabad with my husband. We lived there for like 5 years, and then he decided he was wanting to, like, Redmond and Seattle was always something that he always wanted to explore. And I was like, okay, because I had a well cushioned job. I was like, okay, I'm going to, if I really inspire, and then, like, if something works out for me, great. And that was like 6 years back. So then so we moved here in 2013, 2014, and have been living here since. I work as a marketing automation manager at T-Mobile. Seattle is filled with these kind of companies. It's like Amazon, as Microsoft, all of these companies there. Prior to T-Mobile, I was with Amazon. So it's been professionally, I really, really love living here and getting the opportunities that I get. Personally, I have a 3-year-old, which is again a full-time job, but he is the light and love of my life. I call him my miracle baby, and we can go a little bit more details and like how that happened. But in general, between like a full-time job, toddler, managing a full-time disease, it's quite a bit, but I am very grateful and blessed for what I have in life. And I definitely want to make sure that I do my bit to spread my story, even if one person hears my story and knows how to navigate through this disease, or this illness, or whatever we call it. I would be happy.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for sharing that. And do you go back to India often? Do you still have family there that you go visit?
Yes. Oh yeah, like both our parents are in India, and yes, I mean we try to go every
Hmm.
2 years, like and it's a lot of fun because, and especially I like to go back because I want to make sure that my son at least sees his roots. But more than anything, yes, we have my family there. I have a younger sister, and yeah, it's really we try to go. The thing is the flight to India is like the come like it's like 30
Yes.
hours, like Seattle to it's a long
Yes.
flight. So and especially you are jet lagged, so you have to take a lot of time
Right.
off to go to India and come back, and that is the challenge. But we also have our parents visiting us, like my sister visits us. So yeah, we definitely have our roots there, and we try to go back as often
Well,
as we
that's
can.
good. Okay, well, that's good. Well, that leads me into, so when you were young and growing up in India, were you experiencing any pain when you first started your period? How was the beginning of your cycle?
Oh, nightmare. But I remember, like, I vividly remember one time in my life that I think I was in the seventh or the eighth grade, and I was having my periods. I started my uh, periods in the sixth grade, but this was in the seventh or the eighth grade, and I was lying on the floor, like excruciating pain, and my mom didn't know that what to do, and she took me to the doctor. And anyway, so it was, yes, I remember some very painful episodes. And then I also remember I was in a all girls school, I remember like I bleeding so much that I always used to stay in my skirt, and I could never figure out like why it did not happen to other people, but other girls, but I used to bleed so much. But anyway, but my mom took me from doctor to doctor trying to figure out. And then the only thing that we kept hearing was that I have something called PCOS. Here they call it PCOS. In India, they call it PCOD, polycystic ovary
Okay.
disease. But yeah, so they call it PCOD. But I was diagnosed with that like pretty young. And then I was put on birth control pills, I think when I was 15 or 16. So since that, even before I had an active sexual life. So that's how, luckily or whatever, fortunately or unfortunately, since the time I was put on birth control pill till the time I tried to conceive, my life was pretty smooth. So till I was 30, 31, I didn't even know the term called endometriosis, but I always knew I have PCOS. But I was able to, like, yes, when I had my periods, it was painful. Maybe I had to take a couple of days off, but it was not like it nowhere in my wildest dreams or nightmares I could ever imagine what life was about to bring, what life was about to bring, because it was fine. I mean, I had PCOS, I had a very painful periods, but I was put on birth control pills and I was okay. Oh, one time I remember this was, and now it kind of all makes sense. I was in college and I was living alone. I had kind of like, oh no, I was living with parents bed till then. But I remember I bled so much and I didn't care. I was bleeding for like 6 months or whatever. And I just let it be. And you're in college and okay, whatever. And I remember my hemoglobin came down to 2, and I was hospitalized and had to I was given like an iron transfusion. So now it makes sense. At that time, the doctors did not understand it, or like they just said that I'm anemic or whatever. But it was because I was bleeding, and now I know that that was not normal even then.
Right, right. Okay. So going back to, you were young and this happened and you went to the doctor and they said you had PCOS or PCOD. Did anyone ever tell
Yeah.
you that these painful periods weren't normal, or you thought, okay, I have this PCOS, so this is just my life. I'm going to go on birth control and that's it.
Yes, that's you just like
Yeah.
nailed it. That's exactly what it is. It is what it is. I've been dealt with this, and then it's PCOS, and the thing is like, because like fortunately I was not in pain. I was okay. Like it just part like I was in pain for maybe the period, the time I was having my period, like maybe 3 or 4 days, and then I went. I it was not continuous birth control pills. So like if I was allowed to bleed, and then I was go back. So it was like 2 3. So I was like, okay, 3 4 days of my life, like it's fine. And it was not, but the other parts of my life were untouched. Like I had a great sexual life, and not none of those parameters were like hampered at that point in time. So I was like, okay, I can deal with this. I always knew that I will have a tough somewhere, like nobody told me, but inside, like my gut told me, I am going to have trouble conceiving. I just knew it. So,
That's that's
uh,
that's
yeah,
that's a crazy intuition, but you knew, yeah, in your heart and in your gut that something was off. So you would still, even on
yes,
birth control, you still knew you were going to have a crazy few first days of your period. Did you miss out on
yes,
social events during like high school and college when the first couple days of your period?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Sometimes I used to be in pain enough, like, okay, I can't go, like something like a prom equivalent here in India. Like I couldn't go because I was in pain.
Right, and you were
But
on the pill,
somehow
and you were on the pill, you were still
I
in
was a,
pain, and
yes,
everyone just treated it
yeah.
like it was normal.
Yeah, it was pretty normal that okay, this is something that you got to deal with it, like, and I would say more than anybody else, it was me.
Right.
I was like, okay, I just got to deal with
Hmm.
it. Like I did. And the thing is, and now I realize, like I tried, like the more I kind of introspect, and now that I'm older, like I realized that I did not give the attention that it needed, or I tried to put it under the carpet because I did not want to be different.
Yes.
I wanted to be like everybody else. Like I didn't want to be like singled out or stomach pain all the time,
No,
you
it
know?
makes sense. I
So
mean, if you had, I was talking about this with someone yesterday, it's periods are taboo and it's a taboo subject, and none of us want to call attention to something being A, we even having them, but B, something wrong with them. If your arm was broken, everyone would know, and you would have a cast on, and you'd be walking around and saying, I have this injury, or something along those lines. But when it's about your period, it's hard to open up about, and you just want it to go away.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly the point. Like I didn't want to like bring about it, but I would say like, but I mean, not that every story is different, but even then, like compared to all that I know now, I did not even like maybe go through even 5% of what generally, and especially the kind of disease I know I had. I like stage 4, like my doc, like, and we can go over this, but my excision surgeons, and I got my excisions with Dr. Mosberger. She's one of the NUC certified best people in the West Coast, but she's told me, like, she told me I get a gold star for being the worst. This is one of the
Right.
worst. So, but having said that, so compared to the kind of disease I have slash had, uh, I was able to live a relatively normal life until I came off those birth control pills.
Right. Right. Okay, so that's what I want to get to.
Yeah.
You come off birth control, things obviously start to go sideways. Tell us a little bit about what
Correct.
happened.
Yeah, sure. So what happened to me, yeah, so basically I decided like I wanted to have a kid. And then as I knew, like I told you, I knew that something I would need help. So even without trying or whatever, I just went to the doctor, my gynecologist, OBGYN, first. Like even before, like as soon as it was in my head that I want to conceive, I went to my doctor, which is not normal in any sense, because if you would want to like try to conceive naturally. She put me on metformin, which it seems try to helps you conceive or whatever, like puts your cycle on track. I tried for a couple of months and then nothing happened, but I feel, I mean, that's where I think that my sixth sense came into such use, because I got on top of it. It was all for me, it was almost like a project. I need to get to the end of it. I need to figure out what's happening. So I pushed her and she said, okay, she sent me to a for, and she was great because and we can go on later on, knowing the experiences with doctors. She listened to me, and I am forever grateful to her. She knew that I knew, so she's like, okay, let's just go to the fertility specialist. Even then, when we went to the fertility specialist, they did all sorts of testing, and they did not diagnose me with endometriosis. They said you have PCOS, and they put me through fertility drugs or whatever. I was very lucky. I conceived in the first round of fertility drugs,
Wow.
which is unheard, which is unheard of. But so what happened
Wait,
was,
before all of
but
this, really
then,
quick
yeah,
though,
sorry,
no, just
yeah,
really quick, before all of this, when you're taking the hormones or even before and you're off the pill, are you starting to feel in pain every day? Are your cramps unbearable? Because now you're off the pill.
no,
So, and if they're giving you
no, it was
hormones, what's happening to you physically?
no, I
Okay.
was fine. I think my now I try to analyze it. I was so focused on
Pregnant.
being
Yeah.
pregnant that I don't even like, if you tell, I don't even recall it. Like if I even like now sitting, well, like try to think, was I in pain that time? No, like the excruciating going to the ER, lying down on the bathroom floor, not being able to poop, all those pain only came after my pregnant,
Okay. Okay.
once I delivered. But
Yes.
anyway, we'll get to that.
Okay.
So I was okay. I think I was so focused on being at that time, and it's, I wouldn't say that's the right thing, because you need to focus on
Mm-hmm.
yourself
Yes.
also,
Yes.
I mean, but it's like, I think I'm a very, in general, I'm a type A personality. Like if I set a goal, like, okay, I need to get to do it. In some ways it helps me, it helped me help navigate my disease. But I don't know, I mean, it's not, it should never lose focus on what's happening to your body. Listen to your body, because eventually when I met my excision surgeon, and this is what she told me, and I can never forget the analogy she gave me. She's like, listen, your body, your uterus and your whole pelvic cavity was havocked with
Mm-hmm.
endometriosis, and then they put you, then nobody saw that, and then they put fertility drugs
Yes.
on it. So it's almost like your uterus is on
Mm-hmm.
fire, and then somebody put gases.
Yes. Yes. Because the inflammation that comes from the
So
hormones. But okay, so you get pregnant on your first try, which is amazing.
yes,
I hope that's where this story is
yes,
going. But tell us, okay,
yes,
so you get
yes. But I did not even enjoy, like I could not even breathe easily even during, through even like one day of my pregnancy, because I kept bleeding. The doctor told me, do not get very attached to this
mm,
pregnancy, because I'm not sure if you're going to last it. So I am not kidding. I count, because I've kept those ultrasounds, and he was born a preemie, so he was born at 33 weeks. So
okay.
that's another trauma that I dealt
Yes.
with. So it
Yes.
was just like it, and it's like, as much as I have dealt with all this trauma that has happened to me, that remains my biggest trauma. Like even today, I cannot walk through the hospital without having
Yeah.
anxiety where he was
Right.
born. So it was the hardest pregnancy ever. We have a saying, so I've kept those ultrasound. I had like 38 ultrasounds in
Oh
33
my
weeks.
goodness.
Yes, yes, because I was bleeding through the trimester, I was having pain, sometimes clots are coming out, and none of my OBGYN, my fertility specialists, they leave you once you're pregnant, they like to refer you back to your OBGYN. Nobody could tell me
Right.
why,
Yeah. Were you
what's
asking, like,
happening.
why is this happening to me? Am I high risk? Like,
Yes,
what is the problem?
yes, I was put on high risk immediately. So I was high risk. So I kept going to the high risk clinics, and all those things that I was doing. But nobody could tell me, like, listen, this is happening to you because of
Right.
this. And mind you, even then, I have never heard of the word called
Right. Right.
endometriosis. This is 2017.
Right.
And I have
Right.
never heard of that. Yeah, I have never heard of that term. So sorry, this is 2016. Anyway, October 2016, I deliver my son, and I
Congratulations.
bleed. Thank you. It was, I mean, he was fine. He was ill for a month, but he, I mean, he was great. And then, yeah, I mean, and even if you look at him today, you will not even like, maybe I'll send you some pictures after this, but he is like, you wouldn't even know that he was a creamy baby. So, but it's a trauma because, and it comes, I couldn't breastfeed. I had like terrible mom guilt, and that is something that I struggle with even today. It's very
Yes.
hard for me. That's just to be a good mom. And like sometimes even today when I'm in pain and I'm lying down with my heat pad, he knows and he will tell me, Mama, are you in pain?
Oh,
Is your stomach is your stomach aching? So at 3 he
yeah.
knows that. Or when I have my these multiple surgeries, he knows that mom can't pick him up.
Mm.
But anyway, so yeah. So then what happened? So 2000, I bled continuously for like 3-4 months, and I thought that's normal because people bleed after their pregnancy. And this is when I remember, in January, I was feeding my son Vihan, and then I I almost felt like I will drop him to the floor because I had such shooting pain in my stomach. I thought I'm dying. I thought it's my appendix or something. And I puked and I puked, and then luckily my in-laws were there that time, so we kept him, and then we rushed to the ER. And that was my experience. They have zero idea what's happening. Oh my
Yeah.
God. That was like oh my God. It's like, oh, here are some painkillers and follow up with your OBGYN.
Yes. Right. They did
My OB,
nothing.
they did
Yeah.
nothing. And it was, and I still couldn't figure out what was happening. And that was when the pain started. I went to my OBGYN. Luckily, she had some knowledge about endometriosis. She did an ultrasound, and by that time, my it was had grown so much that she could see I think 2 or 3 black chocolate cysts, and chocolate cysts are a
Mm-hmm.
big sign of endometriosis.
Yes. Yes.
And she did my CA 125, and that was through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So and that the first thing that they suspect is ovarian cancer. So she referred me to a gynecological oncologist.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a 4-month-old baby, and I'm thinking I might have cancer.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, and to get to a doctor, even if you get a referral, it takes 3 months to get to a
Oh
doctor.
my
And
gosh.
just and it I at that time I was at Amazon. I think I just, and like being the typist personality, moved. I switched job. I joined Amazon. So it was, I don't even know honestly how I survived that time. Anyway, I went to the gynecological oncologist. They said, "Oh no, it's I think you have endometriosis." And they did nothing again. They put me on this time. They put me on continuous birth control pill, no periods.
Mm-hmm.
So for 6-7 months, I had slight pain, but excruciating ER pain.
Right.
But
But they just left the cyst in
yes,
there. I mean, that's
yeah,
just
nothing,
oh,
nothing. Yeah,
terrible.
nothing.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, they said they gave me an option that, hey, do you want to do, maybe we could try and remove something, but maybe it is not, yeah, young. And here's the thing, like that time I had no idea. I trusted whatever was being told to me.
Right. Right.
So
Which most patients do. You shouldn't have to do your own research, but unfortunately, with this disease, you do.
yeah, so I went back. I was still in quite, I remember I used to be in so much pain during that time as well, that I used to come back from work and I had my nanny, can you just take hours till my husband comes back because I can't pick up my baby. And
Right.
that used to kill me, but I couldn't do anything. What can I
Right.
do?
Right.
So
Right.
finally, I went to a doctor. I went back to my OBGYN and I was like, listen, this is not normal. And then she's like, okay. And then she referred me to an endometriosis specialist. I remember he just did like a pelvic exam and was like, yeah, I think you need to me. Your case is
Oh,
pretty bad.
oh my
And,
goodness.
and
You were
I'm
like,
like,
you just did an exam. How can you say I need a
yeah, yeah,
hysterectomy?
yes, that's what he said. You need a hysterectomy. And I lost my mind. And anyway, so then he said, okay, if you're not ready, let's just do excision. Let's do excision. Not yeah, he said excision, and he's like, we'll just remove some parts of it. And then So I remember, so we were preparing ourselves. I went for my pre-op appointment and I told them, listen, I'm in so much back pain. I'm like having so much pain. And you're saying that you will do something, but my pain will not really go. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And then he changed the plan. And he's like, no, I think you have stayed and you really need hysterectomy. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to put you on Lupron for 6 months. And after 6 months, we will do this hysterectomy. And then, because my stage 4 was so bad and it was all attached, I had a probability of also getting an ileostomy because they had to shave parts of my rectum. So this was the plan. But somehow, I remember coming out of that pre-op appointment, and I remember, listen, instinctively, I cannot trust this person who keeps changing his plan
And
for
how did
me.
he know all of
And
that? He hasn't even
yeah,
been inside of you.
yes, he doesn't, he hasn't been, he did an MRI and a colonoscopy. Those were the two
Okay.
pieces that
Okay.
diagnostic report that he had. He had yes, he had an MRI
Okay.
and he had, oh, and then I remember because of this whole process, because like because of exit, like Amelia, you need a general surgeon on board or standby if something comes in, he has to do it. So I went to this general surgeon, and that was like, oh, that was like the most worst experience with a doctor. I was like, what do you, I'm scared, like somebody's telling me, I'm like at that point, you're going to give you a poop bag, you're going to get rid of your uterus, and my head is reading, and it's like I was trying to ask him questions. It's like, if this doctor tells me, then we are going to do it. I was like, listen, you are the one who's going to do it. And it was so those are the pieces that instinctively told me something is not right. And I remember I came back and I started Googling. That was the first time in my life I Googled endometriosis. I clearly remember that.
Wow.
Till then, I was going in for a surgery and I had never even searched because I trusted,
Right.
okay, this is going to happen. So I remember I searched, and that's when I came across all these groups. So there is a great group called Greater Seattle Endometriosis Group. They actually have live sessions where you can go and people talk. Then I found Nancy's Nook, and that's when my eyes opened, and I was like, no, I need to find. So that's how I find Dr. Marsberger. I found my own surgeon who I trusted enough to cut me open.
Did you cancel then? Obviously, you canceled
Yes,
your surgery with
yes,
this other doctor. Thank
yes,
goodness.
yes,
Oh my
yes.
goodness.
But I just like, I have goosebumps, or my body goes through, like I shiver, thinking, what if I had that night, I had not had the brains to do what I did.
I know. And that's the problem with this disease. And that's why I do this podcast, so people can and find out this information before they go see a doctor that doesn't know any better and does the wrong surgery.
Yes, I was lucky enough that somebody who cut me once and they know what they were doing. And even then I needed a follow-up surgery.
Right.
So
Right.
so it is that anyway. So I found her. She has patients all backed up, all for she's like, she lives 3 hours away from where I live. And then, like,
Okay.
a lot of people are like, why are you going so far? I was like, but by then I knew. I remember calling her office and like telling her nurse, you need to see me now. Like,
Right.
and by that time, my type A personality had taken over me. I was like, this is again a project that I need
Right.
to do it the right way. So I called her. I went to see her nurse. She saw me. She saw my images, and she pretty much sure that it was something. It was not easy. She gave me an appointment with Dr. Mosberger, and her appointments are like, she's a year out. But anyway, she gave me an appointment, and then for the first time when I met her, and I remember somebody, she truly, truly validated what I was feeling, and you could know what she was talking. All the
Right.
things that I was about to go through: hysterectomy, not a cure for endometriosis; Lupron, chemical menopause. You know, all these
Yes.
things. I was almost on the verge of putting in my body. I would have got, my bone density would have been broken or whatever, right? So all these things would have happened. And then, but anyway, so I got the surgery. it was a 5.5 hour surgery or whatever.
Right.
And I got the ileostomy back too. It was so bad. So the disease like endo everywhere. So they took out my fallopian, and that's where the skill of the surgeon comes. I was prepared that she was like I had to get rid of one of my ovaries, but she was able to scrape through everything, and she was able to retain both my ovaries. So
Good.
which was birth. Yeah, so six, and there was so much scar tissue, like not scar tissue. There was so much like endo wrapped around my ureter that she had to scrape a lot out of it, and she had to scrape so much that my body built so much scar tissue year it was causing my kidney to be blocked because of scar tissue. And last year I got what is called the ureter reimplantation, where they had to free my ureter of the scar tissue and connect it back to the kidney. So luckily they were able to go inside and they saw no endo, so I was endo free at last year October at this point in time. But I had to go through another surgery even with a skilled surgeon, because there was my body had produced so much
So
scar tissue.
much.
And the
Yes.
and at the time the only clue for me was a back pain. I was like, great, my pelvic pain went away and my ileostomy got reversed, fine, and I'm feeling more or less better, I'm having more good days. But how come my back pain is not just going away? Like I can't eat, whatever. And I was like, no, something is wrong. I went back to my OBGYN. I was like, listen, you got me an MRI. She gave me an MRI. And this is where, so I went to they in the MRI, they diagnosed me with hydronephrosis. So what do? You go to urologist. So I went to 2 or 3 urologists. And then what they did was they did, where I went to the urologist. They again, nobody said anything. Oh yeah, it's fine. We're gonna do a CT scan. And I would have lost my kidney, but it's like, we are not worried about it. I knew, no, this is not right. I remember I screenshot my image results, and I emailed my surgeon, Dr. Mosberger, and she called me immediately. And as soon as I saw that from Gig Harbor, I was like, this is not good news. And by that time, I had researched again, knowing that this is like loss of kidney is such a it's like such a silent disease. The reason where people, because of endometriosis, people do lose their kidneys. It's a known fact. So I
Yes.
went to Dr. Mosberger, and she diagnosed. She again saw me. She's like, yes, these are your scar tissues, and I had to have the surgery. But my point is that I went to some of the top urologists in the CI, and none of them saw this.
Right. Right. Because they don't know how to look at it. They don't know what
They
endometriosis looks like. They don't know that it can cause hydrophenosis, and it's definitely a problem. I want to go back a little bit to your second surgery, and obviously you have stage 4. And for some of our listeners, your story might be a little scary to them because we may have people who just found out they have endometriosis. So
Right.
I just want to break down a little bit. You had stage 4. It's severely affected. Sounds like your bowel and your bladder area mostly. Is that what they told you? And
Yes.
then, so you had to have a bowel resection of your sigmoid colon.
Correct. That is
And
correct.
so you had to have a loss. Is it? Did you have
It's an ileostomy bag. So basically,
you?
what the so basically, 2018, when I had my excision surgery, they took out the uterus, they took out the fallopian tubes, they took out the appendix, and they had to shave parts of the rectum. Because there was so much endo, and I forget the term. It's called pouch de Douglas, or in that
Mm-hmm.
area. So
Yes.
they had to remove that, and because they had shaved so much, they could not attach it all right back. They needed time for my insides to heal, and that is why
Okay.
they gave me that poop bag, and they
Mm-hmm.
reversed it back in 8 weeks. So 8 weeks,
Okay.
yes. So I had
Because I
my
know a lot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go
a
ahead.
lot of people would be scared to
Yeah.
hear that and hear what you've gone through, but it is part of the severity of the disease because you were older, you've had it for so long, you were on,
Yes.
hormones that you only felt this back pain, and for certain women, just for everyone who's listening, endo likes to centralize in certain locations, or it's everywhere. It doesn't care where it goes, but it seems to always kind of centralize mostly in certain areas, either pelvic or, thoracic or something along those lines, though people can have it in both locations. But what I want everyone to know is, you have a very serious case of this, but you went through these steps, you kept fighting for yourself and advocating for yourself. And it sounds like a lot of these things you had solved. So what's going on now?
So now I am, how do I put it? I am recovering. I would say I'm recovering. I have more good days. It's not like I'm 100% okay. I definitely want to make sure that it really depends on like how good, how infiltrated your disease is. But mine was so bad that I know that it is, it's a process. I have like big picture, I have come far, but I have to still do, like, I would say, I just give a day, like 2 PT appointments a week, one acupuncture, one back massage, and then every other day I have some doctor or the other, I have to meet up my gastroenterologist. Now, like in February, I was out of my last surgery, the kidney surgery, ureter surgery. So I have a CT scan, then I'm meeting my urologist. It's just a part of my life, but
Right.
that I have to manage this. And the days I have pain, I'm lucky enough that I have a desk job, so I can work from home. So I can just sit in my pajamas and like with my heat pad and or whatever. I have a good ecosystem around me to manage my bad day. Uh, Nanny, I have a person who comes and helps me cook. And then in all of this, like I definitely want to mention my husband. I don't know what I would have done without him. I Because he's held honestly, cleaned my poop, he's cleaned my pee, he's cleaned my, and it's very important to have that, like, whoever it might be, a partner, your spouse, your parent, whoever, have some sort of support system to guide. And if you don't have it, you don't have it, and then you have to kind of get that strength from yourself. Sometimes that, even with such an amazing support system that I have and people, it can still get lonely, and it gets lonely even today sometimes, because it's just hard, because you don't know, because you look great. Like, I remember, and because of all of these surgeries, I lost around 20 pounds. Everybody started saying to me, "Oh, you look so good." It's like, at the cost of what?
Yes. I fully
Yeah,
understand what you're saying, 100%. And one time someone said to me, I want to be on that diet you have. You're lucky you have that disease. And
I'm like, oh
I didn't,
no.
I bit my tongue. What can you say? They don't mean it. They don't understand,
Yeah,
right? If you've never been there, you don't understand. But I want to be like, I wouldn't wish this upon anyone in the world
no,
ever.
no, no,
But
no.
you are a warrior. You have been through a lot. And, um, especially in such a short period of time,
Yes,
you had this pain, you did all this, and then you found out all of these things, and you've had these 3 surgeries back to back. And it must have been very hard, and recovering, and with a small child. I commend you for what you've done. What tips,
yes,
or how did you get through it all? Because this is a lot of hospital stay, and these are serious
yes.
surgeries. And, you know, for women who are listening who may be going through the exact same thing, maybe some of the symptoms, I know you said back pain, but like, did you ever have any bowel symptoms?
Yes, but so I would say that listening to your body is the key. If you have this disease, listen to your body. See, hear what it is saying. I know it sounds silly, but it is so true. Like if I was having, like for example, I was having my back pain. Okay, why am I having my back pain and trying to go through that? Like he is not solving it. Or like pelvic pain, or like it's not normal to be constipated at time. It's not normal. Like your body is supposed to naturally poop. So if you're not pooping naturally, then something is going on inside. So those are the, I always try to look for cues. Like even now,
Mm-hmm.
kind of struggling with bladder issues right now. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's an outcome. Now I'm trying to figure out those reasons or the solutions. It's just the, like it's just a part of my life. Okay, I have this new pain, I just term it like a new pain and just go through it. Oh, I try to calm myself, try to look at alternative healing a lot, like back massage has helped so much, or like I don't know how much acupuncture is helping, but we'll see. CBD research, I trust, I think who is going through this disease, if there's one thing that I would say, like one, what is one thing? Like I would say, like trust yourself and do your research. Just because somebody is telling you that this is what you should do, like a doctor is telling you this is what you should, take it with a pinch of salt.
Yes, I think that that is fantastic advice, and advocate for yourself. Record all of your pain is a tip that I always give people,
Yes.
and where it's at, because when you need to go in and tell a doctor and they don't believe you and you have a notebook full of every day I had this, this, and this, if they won't listen to you, it's time to move on and find a new doctor, which is
Mm.
exactly what you did, and obviously the right move. And so at this point, you still have your uterus and your two ovaries,
No,
correct?
I
Oh,
don't have
you
my
don't.
uterus. Yeah, I just
Oh,
have my,
you did have the
yeah, I
hysterectomy.
did have the hysterectomy because I also had adenomyosis.
Okay,
Of
okay.
course I
But you
did.
still have your, of
Yeah, I
course,
have.
right. You still have your
Yes,
ovaries.
I have my ovaries. Yes,
Um,
I have my ovaries, so I don't have hormone replacement
okay,
treatment right now, HRT right now. So
okay.
mostly my days are like, I just have, like even at work, I sit with a heat pad. I mean, I would say, is my pain completely gone? No, absolutely no. But am I in a much better place than where I was, where I couldn't like even get up from my bed? Yes. And
Right.
then it is a, I think the big part of it is just accepting that I have this. It's, I struggled a lot, like why the hell did I have this? Or like I struggled with that a lot. But now I'm just like, okay, I have this and I gotta deal with it. And then, and there's very frustrating days where I just like, my son goes to the daycare, my husband's gone, and I just take a day off and I'm under the blanket just crying that, dude, why? Just like, why can't I just be normal? But then I get up, I chin up, and then just go move on. And like, okay, I let myself grieve, because grieving, I think, is important. It's important to grieve and say, like, yes, is just accept it. And then, okay, tomorrow, one of my favorite books is Gone with the Wind. And then there is one of the characters there, like Scarlett O'Hara. The last line in the book is, tomorrow is another day.
I think that is very inspirational, and I agree with you. And I think grieving is a big process, or a big part of the healing process.
Yeah.
It's okay to be upset that you have this. It's okay to cry and want to be like everybody else and have bad days, but you're right. It's all about getting up the next day, continuing to fight for your life essentially, and fight for happiness and joy.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I could have died.
yes.
I mean,
Yes.
bluntly, I could have
Yes.
died. I could have lost my kidney. I could have, I don't know what all could have I done. That's it. I mean, and a lot of people, I mean, not to scare anybody, but I just want everybody who's listening just to understand, like, this disease like cancer,
Yes.
benign, but it
Yes.
operates like cancer.
Yes. It does come
So
back, and it can be very aggressive, especially when hormones can increase the growth of it.
it happened
And
to me.
Yes.
I put fertility drugs in my body, and all hell broke loose.
Right. And you didn't know any better. How could
No,
you? You know,
no,
and the awareness is just such a big problem, which
yes,
again is why we do this podcast and why you share your story is to help people know. And you're right, it is scary, but you're right. You could have lost your life. Same with me. I had a bowel obstruction. I could have lost my life too.
God, yeah,
And, you know, that's people need to hear that. And this disease is more serious for some, depending on the level that you're at
yes,
and what organ it's attacking than
yes,
others. But you're right, it is like a cancer and it should be respected and treated like that. And
exactly,
if you and I were walking around and telling people we had stage 4 cancer, they would have a much different reaction. But that's
correct,
just because they have the knowledge of what cancer is
correct,
and they don't have the knowledge as to what endometriosis is. But I do want to ask you, so
yes.
since you've had your bowel resection, how's your stomach? How's like, do you feel like you're eating the same? Can you go to the bathroom the same? Same with your bladder. I know you said it's still bothering you a little bit.
No, my bowels, I mean, it's bad, but having an ileostomy, that's a big part of it, like bloating. Like, I think my primary care physician, that's why I'm meeting my gastroenterologist. She kind of thinks I have SIBO, small intestinal
Mm-hmm.
bacterial overgrowth,
Yes.
which I think is pretty common again. So I am like pretty sure that I have the symptoms. But I try to maintain, try to do as much as I can, like maintain the diet. No sugar. I can't eat as much. Like if I like just yesterday we went to a party. There was and there was something that like I love Indian food, and then there was something that I really love. It's a delicacy from home. It's made with milk, so it's like milk, like cottage cheese balls. It's sort of like cottage
Mm-hmm.
cheese balls. And I
Okay.
know I have, so I couldn't help myself, and I had two. I wish I could have 10 because I was okay with two. I wish I could have
Right.
10. Right? And that's the hard part. But I know if I'm going to be in the bathroom and puking. So,
Yes, yes,
so,
yes. And you won't be leaving the house the next
no,
day.
no, I won't be. And I will be like feeling pain. So, no, I had, so yeah, bowel is a big part, like maintaining my bowel is a big part of life. Like just
Yes.
making sure that I'm lactose intolerant. I can't have too much dairy. So, yeah, it's just like I know sometimes, I mean, just for the heck of it, I know I'm going to get sick, but I'm going to eat it anyway. So,
I
so
mean, you also have to live too. I
yeah,
mean, we have to enjoy life.
yes, so I'm going to get sick. It's fine. I'll just like honestly, I'm just going to put my finger in my throat and puke it out, but it's fine.
You
I
enjoyed it going in.
Yes, I enjoyed it going in, but it's hard. I mean, like
It's
sometimes I'll get
hard.
so frustrated that I'll just eat like lots of chocolate, and I can. It's so weird. Like I'm putting it in my mouth, and I can feel my body telling me, "Don't do it. You're gonna
Yeah.
pay for it. Don't do it." But I'll do it anyway. Once I'm in the bathroom, I can hear my body telling me, "Did not listen to me."
Right. Told you not to do this.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
what tips do you have that you've kind of changed in your life to at least help you feel better? I know you said you do PT and acupuncture. For me personally, I go to acupuncture every other week just because it is expensive.
Yes.
But I do feel that it does help with my pain. It helps my like sympathetic nervous system relax. It
Right.
helps me relax, which helps reduce pain.
Right.
And then I mean, I don't eat dairy. I don't eat gluten. I barely
Yes.
drink. I mean, I had a glass of wine last night, which now today I'm not feeling great at all.
Yes.
But what tips have you kind of learned to do that help you?
Routine.
Mm-hmm.
Maintaining a routine. Trying to get to the same time you're sleeping, trying to get it up at the same time, maintaining routine. Like I will say, like I do so much better on weekdays versus weekends when we have like some social gathering. Like yesterday, like coming back at like late at night, we came at 1 yesterday. So, and then I couldn't sleep. I was having my bladder pain or whatever, and I woke up at like 5 o'clock. I slept at 5. So because I think like having consistency in, and it's hard, it's super hard to have consistency every day, but I try to have my at the same time, dinner at the same time. Also, I think something that has really helped with my bowel issues and in general are like teas, like digestive teas. So versus like if I'm too constipated, we're having something as strong as say milk of magnesia or whatever, that kind of laxative that kind of makes you go. I'll sip like a Sena tea, or like, those kind of things have helped me. Like having through natural, trying to, while there is no way I could have done what I did just naturally. But when I'm recovering, trying to look for
Mm-hmm.
natural pieces in your life helps with the recovery. Like I use a lot of like CBD topical suppository. I had no idea of what it was, but I've started researching and then going through that. That's helping. But if I had to try to maintain consistency is key to what to key to feel better. Like I have my exact time I'll pick up my son, exact time I will play with him, exact time I will go to bed. That really helps. And sometimes it just goes off. And then if you fall from your routine, or if you do not maintain it, if you're not able to maintain it for a couple of days, it is okay. Stop pushing, like it. Just go back to it. Just try to go back to it again. So it's okay to, because life happens. And like for example, time I go to India, and then I feel like eating all those stuff that I don't get. I want to eat. So I
Right.
I eat it, and then it's okay. It's okay. Then I come back to it. I have medication. What I need to do it. The other thing is like, yeah, like they make such a big deal of like painkillers and narcotics here. It is okay if your body needs it. It needs it. It's fine. Stop thinking that you are like a drug because of it. It's fine.
Right.
Your body needs it. You are not a drug addict. Yeah, and you should stop. And if people are looking at you like that, do not allow them to look at you like that.
Yes, I think that's very, very good advice. And I
Yeah,
agree with you on a routine. And sometimes I fall out of it too. But, I try to make sure that I track my pain and meditate every night and eat clean. But sometimes I'll travel for work and I
yeah,
get just thrown off my entire schedule. And then I feel like I'm this big failure, even though I'm not, because it's just life. Everybody, it happens to everybody. So have a little compassion for yourself and just start the next day.
yeah, yeah. Because yeah, and just never stop advocating. Whether it is the doctors, whether it's your own family, whether it's your coworkers, whoever, never, don't feel bad or don't feel guilty that it has happened to, like, I wish I told the when I was in college, where we started our conversation, where I was not trying to hide it. Today, if I need a day off from my work, or if I'm working from home, I tell my manager exactly what, like, I am having pelvic pain. I don't say I'm having stomach pain,
Right.
because it's a small thing, it's a tiny thing to say, like, it doesn't care. But as soon as I say it's stomach pain, I am insulting this disease, which I have a lot of respect for. It's a very smart disease, by the way. So, I mean, very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
I
So I
mean,
tried, yeah.
I agree. No, I agree with you on those too. And I have a team of people who work for me, and I tell
Yeah,
them honestly now. I used to just say I didn't feel good before, and now I
yeah,
say I'm having a flare up. I need to
yeah,
take a couple hours off, or I need to
yeah,
leave early, or and it took me years to be able to do that
yeah.
because I was embarrassed, and now I'm openly talk about it on all my social media channels, so everybody knows.
Yes.
But I'm honest with my coworkers. And to, a quick story about that is I did post something on LinkedIn once. I was very nervous about posting it,
Right.
but it was a video, and a CEO of a company that I do business with
Uh-huh.
saw it, and they figured out that his daughter had endometriosis. And so she's 19 and able to get the proper care at 19. She's going to have a different life than I had and that
Yes.
you had, because she's going to get the help she needs at
Correct.
19 versus,
At
30,
30s, yeah,
35,
yeah.
40.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that reminds me, I have to tell you this story that's similarly to this. I talk about it in my social media and whatever things, and whatever. I can't do as much as I should do, but anyway, whatever little I do, so weird. Two of my husband's co-workers spouses have reached out to me, and the same thing, they are being running pillar to post from doctor to doctor, and they don't know what to do, but they are in a better off place because I am able to guide them to get the right care. They don't have to start from zero because they are maybe starting at like 10 or 11. They know what to do because they can always, hey, this doctor told me, okay, you have to go and fight for this. You have to go to this doctor. You have to ask for a scan. It's okay. Versus like I had to do everything by myself because I didn't know better.
Right.
I I was
Exactly.
I was DMing and messaging strangers, but
Yes.
it's okay.
Same. I mean, I was doing the same exact thing that you met strangers on the internet that helped me.
Yeah.
And that's how we've all built this big community that helps people. And I think,
Yes.
now in 2020, I think the word is out there, at least
Yes.
endometriosis, the
Yes.
word, but it's unfortunate because the medical care is still not there. And I meet 23-year-olds that their doctors are telling them the same thing that I was told when I was 23, which was almost 20 years ago, which is
Yes.
unacceptable. And
It
that's,
is.
a bigger
It
root
is. It
problem.
is. It is. It is a big problem, and it shouldn't be like today when like so. I always wanted a girl. Like I really wanted a girl for myself. And I knew like with all of this, even before I knew always in my gut, like I just maybe I'll have one little child or whatever. So I always wanted a girl, but and of course I love my son and now he's a boy. But it's sad. It is so sad and it speaks volumes about the care that we have for this disease. I feel thank God he is not a girl and he's a
Mm-hmm.
boy and I am not passing my horrible disease. I thank
Yes.
I thank God every day for that. And then I feel like that's not how it should be. If it is a disease, you should have care for it. People have heart
Yes.
attacks, they have care for it. There's
Mm-hmm.
diabetes and thyroid and all these sorts of things. It's fine. Children inherit that from their ancestors or whatever, but they don't feel like their parents don't feel guilty about it. I just imagine if my son was a girl and he had this disease, how I would have felt about it.
I absolutely agree with that statement. And it's hard to even think about that. We
Yes,
shouldn't have to.
we shouldn't
So,
have to, but we do, and
yeah.
but it's a doing our bit. I mean, it's just like there is light at the tunnel. I feel like 10 years, 11 years, 15 years back, uh, it was far worse than what it is right
Correct.
now.
Correct. And I agree with you. And there is always hope. And, you've been through a lot and you're very positive about it all, but you've had hard days and it's okay to have hard days, but there's always hope and light at the end of the tunnel. I fully agree with that. Anything else you want to add or social media channels you want to plug or anything that you want to tell the
No,
listeners?
no, I think nothing. Just like if you guys have any questions, you can always email me at maybe you can link it later, but because
Mm-hmm.
upasna.sanyal@outlook.com. Sorry, it's upasnasanyal@outlook.com. Yeah, so you can just I'm happy to answer any questions. Anybody has anything to like just let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions if they want to know more about my story. I think anything is fine, and just know that you are not alone. I just want people to know, women out there, women slash whoever is struggling through a chronic illness. It doesn't have to be endometriosis because there are other diseases as well. But anyone who is suffering through a chronic illness, like it's so hard, just know that you're not alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being so brave and sharing your story, and you're amazing and you've been through a lot, and I commend you for everything you've been through, and you're still willing to share your story with everyone. Thank you so much.
Opportunity. I definitely want to thank you for doing this for all of us. So I know it's a lot of time commitment and everything, but thank you for doing that for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, take care and we will talk to you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
I want to thank Upasana so much for sharing her incredible story and journey. She is just a light out there in the world, and she has such a great attitude and she's been through so much. So I will link her Instagram information below if you want to reach out to her, like she said on the podcast. And I'm going to give you a little update on me, like I said in the beginning. I'm actually laying on the couch. You can hear my heating pad right now because I am not feeling so great. My Cherry Pit Pack. It is my favorite heating pad, but you do have to get up and heat it up like every 20 minutes. So that's the only problem. I'm working on a different version of it that might help so we don't have to get up as much, us endo ladies. A little update on me. I've been struggling a little bit. I really just, I don't even know how to describe it. Haven't felt 100% since my last surgery, which I believe I've mentioned before. I feel so much better and my period is 1,000 times better, but I'm still just experiencing pain on my right side. We went back and looked at my video in my last doctor's appointment for my surgery in 2018, and it does look like there is potentially some endo left there, and my right ovary is stuck behind my uterus. So that has been causing me, unfortunately, more increasing pain. I use a standing desk at work, and I'm no longer able to stand all day without being literally in excruciating level 10 pain. So I've been adjusting that. I'm still going to the gym, but I'm not taking it as hard as I normally would. And I actually had an episode at the gym last week, and I wasn't even on my period or anything, where I just got super lightheaded. I felt sick and I couldn't finish the workout, and I've been dealing with some major fatigue. So I had my family doctor do some blood work, and I haven't talked to him yet, but my blood work came back that I was anemic as well. So that could be an explanation for why I feel so run down and out of it. But I've also, since 2016, and now I don't know if this is related, but I've talked to a couple of my endo sisters who have had thoracic endometriosis. And if you've listened to the podcast with Anna, I actually spoke with her because since 2016, I've been experiencing neck and shoulder and arm pain, but I again thought this was from lifting weights and I did something wrong, and I had an MRI done, and I do have 2 herniated discs in my neck that would make sense for this pain. But it is now 2020 and I still have flare-ups with the pain, and I went back and checked my pain journal, which I keep every day, which you ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, should as well, because I started to notice that my shoulder pain always flares up right before my period. And again, I thought, oh, I did too much at the gym. You know, I have an excuse for everything. And I went back and looked, and it seems that my shoulder and neck pain always flare up about a week before my period. And I had a really bad flare-up episode this week, and it scared me. Like, it was very severe pain, and I could barely function at night. It got really bad at night. And I was like, oh, it's my neck. But then I was like, maybe it's not my neck. I went back, noticed that it's in line with my cycle. So now I'm just nervous that I have something going on with my thoracic area. I could be wrong, but even right now when I'm trying to talk to you, I'm a little bit out of breath. And again, I just went to the microwave and got my heating pack, so it could be that too. And I'm trying to talk to you fairly quickly, but I guess I just don't know if I have some more endo stuff going on in the thoracic region, and I just hope I don't. But that's kind of what's been going on with me. I've been feeling pretty good. I have a lot of ups and downs, but I just am managing the pain. And I think one of the really good things that we talked about on this past podcast is, you know, you have to adjust your lifestyle to having endo, and it's not convenient, but it is something that we need to do, and you can feel better, but you have to make adjustments and live within, you know, almost a regimented program of taking care of yourself. That's just a little update from me. I have definitely been a little bit bummed out about not feeling so great, and I'm trying to stay positive, and I'm trying to, I guess I'm just not voicing it outwardly as much as I normally would, because I do feel like a big complainer, and I know I'm not, but I do feel like that sometimes. So I've been internalizing it more and just trying to help more people. And every time I help someone or give advice, I do feel like it helps me feel better, and then I just move forward. So if I can help you or anyone else, please let me know. Feel free to email me anytime, melissa@booconsulting.com, or find me on Instagram at endo_lady, and I will try and get back with you as soon as I can. As always, I appreciate you being here and listening. I'm very excited to announce that we have hit 20,000 listens, which is just so overwhelmingly amazing. I can't believe how well the podcast has done, and I have to thank all of the people that have been on the podcast. And we are just going to get better. So I know there was a few hiccups in this last episode with the audio. Again, I'm working on it. I have a couple new programs that I'm looking at rolling out. So thank you again for listening, and happy Valentine's Day. It is almost Valentine's Day, and I'm wishing you the best. I wish that you are feeling as well as you can, and just know there is always hope. Please don't give up, and you're not alone. Thank you again for listening. And if this podcast brings you any value and you want to give us a little review over in the Apple Podcast Store or app, I would really appreciate it. Thank you again for listening. Take care.